What's up, everyone? Welcome back to WillND, and I'm here with my good pal Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, and we're here to talk the Super Bowl and also some crazy NFL coaching carousel action. How's it going, Jeffrey?
I was going really well, man. I mean, we got college basketball on right now. The NFL, it's almost done. I can't believe it's been a great season. So much action going on, but the Super Bowl is coming around the corner this Sunday, Super Bowl 58, and a lot of people do not want the Chiefs to win for obvious reasons. But, unless you're a Chiefs fan, I get, you want your team to win, but a lot of people are 49ers fans. But the coaching news as well, there's a lot of stuff going on. I can't wait to get into it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, one coaching decision that certainly piques my interest is that Dan Quinn will now be the new coach of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, that's for you, Will. That's your favorite
I'm not
team.
glad, Jackson. I'm not glad that Ben Johnson turned down the Commander's job to lead this Detroit Lions because now we have Dan Quinn as our new head coach.
I knew Ben
Jeffrey,
Johnson wasn't going to the Panthers, but I thought he might take the Commander's job. I was a bit shocked he didn't.
Jeffrey, did you watch the Cowboys defense against the Packers in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still frustrated about that because everybody's like, it's Dak Prescott's fault. It's Mike McCarthy's fault. And I'm like, no, a lot of that was on Dan Quinn. I mean, definitely, he had a horrible defensive scheme for that game. I don't know what was going on. So after that performance, I'm kind of shocked that he got a head coaching job.
Yeah, okay. Like, how would a GM be like, oh man, let's hire this guy. Let's hire this guy. You just freaking flew the game for the Cowboys in the playoffs. Like, what are we doing? I thought we were gone with this crappy management with this Commanders Redskins organization. We're getting Dan Quinn as our new head coach. My
Yeah,
optimism
I
is
mean, it
gone.
doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess, at this point, because they were the last team, you know, to get their coaching position filled. And all the other guys, already got the jobs that they were getting. And Bill Belichick, it just never happened. I thought he was going to the Falcons, but that didn't happen. So it's like if the Commanders didn't get Dan Quinn because they waited so long, who are they going to
They
get? And I
wanted to
mean,
get Ben Johnson, but Ben
but
Johnson turned
he
it down.
turned it down. He said he was going back with Detroit. So it's like they were kind of, stuck with the Dan Quinn choice. Uh,
Yeah.
Jackson said he thought Eric Bieniemy would be promoted from within. I thought so as well because I talked about it when the news was first announced that he was leaving the Chiefs to go to the Commanders at the same position. I was like, wait a minute, he left for the same position. Like, to me, you think the Chiefs would have been better for him to stay there. He was on a better team, and maybe Andy Reid would retire soon. He could become head coach. But then I was like, well, maybe with, the Ron Rivera situation, he would become the head coach. And maybe there was a clause in there, but that didn't happen. And now I think didn't they hire an offensive coordinator as well?
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like, so, I mean, Eric Bieniemy's out of the picture now. Like, what happened?
I mean, I feel like the offense obviously wasn't great.
No.
Sam Howell turned the ball over a lot. But with like the Panthers, the offensive line was horrible for the
Mm-hmm.
Commanders. Sam Cosmi was the only guy worth the snuff that started. So Sam never really had a chance, I feel like, to succeed this year because of just how bad the offensive line was for the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to blame Bryce Young or Sam Howell for the team's failures when the offensive lines for both teams were awful. Like, Bryce Young, sometimes he just dropped back and he was getting sacked within a second. Like, and oh, it's Bryce Young's fault. He should have done this. I'm like, I don't know about that. So it is interesting. I just didn't think Eric Bieniemy was going to get the boot. Like, I was not expecting that. So hopefully the Commanders know what they're doing. I mean, I did ask people if they thought Dan Quinn was a good hire, and it was a mixed bag when I did a Twitter poll on it. I don't think that it's not unanimously that it's a bad move or really unanimously that it's a good move, but I do think that most people are a bit underwhelmed with it, especially after the performance against the Packers. It was so bad that a lot of people did get turned off by it. Yeah, because here's my poll on Twitter of it, and there were more no's. 65% of people said that it was a bad decision. for the Commanders to hire Dan Quinn. 17% yes, 17% unsure. But if you add the yes and the unsure, that's still around 35% of people that are willing to give this a shot. So it's not unanimously that this is horrible, but most people are underwhelmed with the hire, and I get it because of how bad that was. But like I said, who else could they have gotten at this stage in the game? Probably not many other options.
They just put all their eggs in the Ben Johnson basket, and then he left.
So you can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, like Alabama, for example, with the Crimson Tide in college football, I mean, they're like the team, right? Besides like Georgia, maybe Ohio State, like they're one of the best programs in college football. So they had all those guys in the running: Lane Kiffin, Mike Norvell, Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer. You know, like it was tons of guys. But they didn't settle on one guy. But to your point, the Commanders did with Ben Johnson, and when he announced that he wasn't going to leave Detroit, then they just were kind of screwed at that point.
Yeah.
They had to go with Dan Quinn.
I thought we were done with this type of stuff when Dan Snyder left, man. It was frustrating, but we'll see.
Hopefully the Commanders do win more in the future, in these future seasons, but as of now, it is very murky on how they're going to do.
Who knows what the heck we're going to do with our number 2 overall pick? Are we going to trade up? Or are we going to trade down? Or are we just going to stay at 2? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think staying at 2 is necessarily bad. I mean, it's a good pick. I mean, you're getting the second best player out there, you know, and if they make the right decision, actually get the second. Because, like, we know, like, the Panthers took the first overall player, and it hasn't worked out, but still there's reasons. So, hopefully, for your sake, Will, the Commanders will do the right thing.
All right. The Seahawks, on the other hand, got Mike McDonald to replace Pete Carroll. I think this is a home run for them.
Yeah, a lot of people like this hire. I mean, obviously, I don't get per se like, oh, because this guy, you know, he's been there for a long time, he's had so much success that like, oh, you shouldn't get rid of them. Like, I realized like with Jim Boeheim, you know, at Syracuse, that it was time to go, I guess. And like with Belichick at the Patriots, it's just not working. But Pete Carroll, I mean, he still had so much energy. And I mean, like, to me, was it more Geno Smith or was it Pete Carroll? Like, Geno Smith wasn't as good this year. They still had a lot of talent around, you know, the same guys. But I don't know. I just hate to see Pete Carroll go, to be honest. I was hoping he wouldn't. He would have another year or two in him. Because like I said, I mean, I know coaching's not just energy, but like he was showing no signs of like slowing down. He's still just as energetic as ever, running all over the place. So I just hate that fact, especially because Seattle wasn't terrible. They weren't good, but it is what it is there. And with Mike McDonald, I mean, most people seem to like the hire. So hopefully it works out for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, he had good players, but he did definitely put the players for the Ravens in positions to do well. I mean, obviously the Chiefs game wasn't great, but it's Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It's just hard to stop.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is also, like, it's a good situation, too, because Seattle, they're not like the Panthers or even the Commanders where the team's not great right now. The Seahawks, they got enough talent to win, you know, right out of the gate. So as long as they make the right move. So it's not like McDonald's going in a rough situation. I think that it should help him out as a, you know, coach that just becoming from defensive coordinator and now becoming a head coach. It's a big jump. A lot of people don't think that it is, but it is a lot different going from coordinator to coach, but it's a good situation for him.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Falcons couldn't get much worse than Arthur Smith, and they decided to go with Raheem Morris, which is interesting.
I will say real quick before we get to Raheem Morris, I did feel bad for Arthur Smith in that one game with Tom Brady where they called the roughing the passer in that game at the end, and he had the ball in his hands. I was like, no, the Falcons should have had a shot to win this game. He lost his mind. I'm surprised he didn't. I know football's different than basketball, like with ejections, man, but I'm surprised he just didn't. Like they get him out of here. Like he was mad, but he kept it under control. But I don't blame him there. But then it's like I was kind of like defending Arthur Smith. I'm like, well, that was just bad. You know, that the Falcons should have made the playoffs here if they had won that game. Terrible call at the end. But then like you're getting these draft picks, and like, why did they go with Desmond Ridder? I mean, I'm not saying Desmond Ridder is horrible, but it's at the same time, it's like, why did you put all your eggs in his basket? He wasn't even a top, first or second round draft pick. And you talk about like getting Bijan Robinson, like he's a really good player, but like they didn't really need him. The defense is pretty solid. Kyle Pitts is injured a lot. I mean, the team's not bad, and the division stinks. The NFC South is horrible. So, like any four of these teams, well, the Panthers not anymore because they're just in the toilet. But the other three, the Saints, Falcons, and Bucks, like it's theirs for the taking if they just make the right moves. And the Falcons did not, which is just frustrating. And Arthur Smith, they never made the team better. So I was initially in the camp of, yeah, I don't want Arthur Smith to get fired, but it ended up making sense after the 3 seasons of never getting better when they should have and how bad that division was. But I did initially feel bad for him, especially in that first season.
Yeah, Raheem Morris is definitely going interesting hire for me. I mean, he's just not someone that I would have thought of as the guy to be the next head coach. I mean, the Rams weren't as good on defense this year as they were back then. So,
I haven't really gotten a big read on this hire. Like, I don't think the Falcons, after like it was basically Belichick wasn't going to happen. I don't think really anyone knew who they were going to get because I thought Belichick was a done deal. Like I did a Twitter poll probably 2-3 weeks ago, and the Falcons, he was the leading favorite to go there. And also people kept saying the Cowboys, like everyone thought he was going there, but I was like, no, that's not going to happen. But I thought the Falcons was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. And then it's like, who are they going to get? And then Raheem Morris, he gets hired, and it's just like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, it could work. I mean, I don't really think anybody's saying it's a bad hire. And the Falcons, it's kind of like with the Seahawks. It's not a bad situation because this team isn't terrible by any means. Like, I think if the Falcons get a good quarterback and then they shore up a few of their other positions, they could win the South because the South isn't that good. I mean, the Saints or the Bucks, they don't look like they're going to rapidly improve. I mean, you never know, but like the Falcons have a shot. So maybe like Raheem Morris, maybe, it's putting him in a situation where it's not super difficult. Maybe he can have success, but it's an interesting hire.
Indeed. We'll see how the Falcons do. I mean, it's the NFC South. You don't have to improve the team that much to win it. So.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when the Panthers were winning 6-7 games with the carousel of quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Kyle Allen, I'm like, it doesn't take much, guys. We're this close. And then the Panthers just tank. And I'm like, what? Now you're just the laughing stock of the league in the worst division in the league? No. But the Falcons, they're not in that situation. So Raheem Morris, you just can't get worse. Got to improve a little bit, and you should be fine.
Mm-hmm. The Panthers, I'm just going to let you talk.
The thing that's frustrating about the Carolina Panthers is everything that's led up to this point. Because, I mean, I know everybody at this point is like Ron Rivera. Cam Newton made him. Like, he wouldn't have won anything if it wasn't for Cam Newton. But the thing is, people fail to understand that for a coach to win, you got to have good players. Would Kirby Smart win or Nick Saban win if they had bad players? Not at the rate that they are. Like, you have to have good players to win in college football and in the NFL. I mean, Tom Brady, you could say, well, he's the reason they won. It wasn't Belichick. Well, they worked together. Okay, it worked out. The defense was good. They had good enough offensive players, even if the receivers outside of Randy Moss weren't elite. They had just quality guys. Edelman, some of those guys, really good. But the thing is that after Ron Rivera, like, I know why they fired him. It made sense, but they weren't horrible. They weren't terrible. But it's like, well, we're not winning, so I was fine with it. And then they get Matt Rule. And it's like, well, Matt Rule, he's the guy because he's winning all these games in college football, Baylor and Temple, and he's going to make a quick turnaround here. That didn't happen, and they fired him after 3 seasons. And then after that, it's like Steve Wilkes was the intern for that half season. Steve Wilkes did good. They're run-first type of team, grinding out games. The defense was stellar. And I'm like, give this guy the job. And then they let him go. And I'm like, okay, who are we going to get? And then they got Frank Reich. And I'm like, they're not even going to give Frank any time. And guess what? They didn't. They gave him 10 games. And I'm like, what? You hired Frank Reich to be your head coach and you give him 10 games. Like, would he have ever made the Panthers good? Probably not. But why did you hire him in the first place if you fired him after 10 games? That's the same thing with the Mississippi State Bulldogs in college football after Mike Leach passed away. Rest in peace to a legend. They got Zach Arnett, and then they fired him after one season. To me, that's just stupid because you bring in a guy, to be your head coach, and it's like you never give him a chance. And if you never thought it was going to work, you should have never hired him. That's just my thought process. So it's like if the Panthers were never going to give Frank Reich a shot, why did they hire him? And people be like, well, they were horrible. Well, you know what? They were horrible after, too. And it's like now you bring in Dave Canellis, and it's like people are like, oh, they're giving him a 6-year deal. They're going to give him time to fix this. And I'm like, you sure? Like, are we sure? I think I retweeted. I'm like, well, I mean, are the Panthers actually going to give him the time? Because if they don't give him the time, it's just more wasted time. You're just wasting years. And it doesn't help Bryce out or anybody out when you're constantly changing coaches because of the fact the scheme changes. I mean, they said Bryce had 3 different play callers throughout the season. How's that supposed to help a rookie out? When you've got 3 different play callers, every week it's something different. He was learning from Reich, and he was learning from 2 other guys, the coordinators, that they all got rid of. It ain't even just this. They got rid of, like, the whole staff. Like, they're all gone. Everybody was affiliated with the Panthers. They got rid of, and it's like, well, that's fine to do a wholesale change, but, like, if you bring these guys in and you still suck, is that going to make it better? So I'm not super confident here. Not just that I don't think Dave Canellis can work, because I think a lot of people like the hire overall. But I mean, I don't think they think it's
I like it better than Frank Reich.
Yes, I do agree with that. It's better than Frank Reich, but it's not going to matter at all whatsoever if they don't give him time.
Yeah, hopefully he gets time. I don't trust Dave Tepper.
No, not at all. I mean, everybody does not like him in Carolina. Like, I know that for a fact. Nobody does. And I said after he threw the drink at the fan in that game, and then I said on there with Tepper, I'm like, nobody likes David Tepper right now. And then someone responded to me and said, well, I can think of 31 people that do. And I'm like, yeah, the other teams. I know that because it's an easy win for everybody playing him. I get that. But I'm just saying, like, legitimately, nobody is a fan of him. Like, especially in Carolina. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, I know Jerry Richardson, people had reservations with him, but the organization was so much better from start up in 1995 to when he was no longer the owner. They were better. They went to 2 Super Bowls, and now they're just bad. So things got to change. And if Dave Canellis, like I said, gets a year or 2 and he's fired, and then Tepper just hires somebody else, it's just going to be a train wreck until they move on at the owner position. If it just for Tepper's sake, he better hope that Canellis can somehow work with this because this team's in bad shape and win. And he better not fire him if he starts to improve things. And he better at least give him enough time or things could get ugly. That's all I can say.
I mean, like, Jerry Jones was friends with Dan Snyder. I'm like, no wonder Jerry Jones is friends with Dan Snyder. The whole organization's been a joke since he took over. So, like, no wonder he wants Dan Snyder to stay, man.
Oh man, yeah, I know. It's reverse psychology. It's like, oh, he's great, we want, but it's like we like him because he stinks, and like we're gonna keep beating him, and yeah, of course, it's funny with that. Yep.
Yeah. All right, well,
the home run.
Jimmy Harbaugh's going to the Chargers. This is gonna be interesting, man.
It's the supposed home run. Like this should just be a slam dunk. Whatever metaphor you want to use, baseball, basketball, this is just supposed to work. Everybody thinks it's a great high. I mean, how can you not think it is? I mean, Harbaugh has won wherever he's been, Stanford, Michigan, the 49ers until the last season. So it should work in theory. But, Brandon Staley, I mean, I would say he's left them in a bad situation, but this team isn't terrible by any means. I know some people are like, Justin Herbert's no good. He's not actually any good. Like, I don't think that's true at all. I think Herbert's really good. He's just got to stay healthy. And if he doesn't get sacked as much, that would help. But, I mean, it's like with Kurt Signetti. he's won wherever he's been. Now he's going to Indiana. Can he win there? This isn't even a that situation. Like, I have reservations whether he's going to win at Indiana because Indiana is the Big Ten. It's going to be tough, but you got to give him the benefit of the doubt because, again, he's won wherever he's been. But with Harbaugh, yeah, he's won wherever he's been, and he's not going to a bad situation. The Chargers have a good team. They should be winning more than they are. I mean, if you saw the FBI predictor at the beginning of the season when they were playing games, the Chargers were like favored in every game, or if they weren't favored, it was barely like they were an underdog. And like the metrics wouldn't shift until they after that blowout to the Raiders, the loss. Because like people like the computer liked them. They thought like, well, this is a good team because it is, but they weren't winning. So then the computer shifted after the Raiders lost. But I think Harbaugh is going into a good situation. They just got to shore up some of the flaws that they do have on the team. And if they do, he has a shot to win the Super Bowl that he is wanting to get. Because, he wants the national title in the Super Bowl. He was close with the Niners and get it done. But there's a shot it don't work, but I think it's a better shot it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's some holes on the Chargers roster, but it's a heck of a lot better than a lot of other teams in the NFL.
For sure. I mean, that's why he, obviously won the title, so that's why he did leave. But, like, he was waiting for the best situation for him. And, like, I think this is it. Because people are like, oh, is he going to go to the Patriots? It's like, no, he's not going to go to the Patriots. Like, the Chargers are in better shape than the Patriots right now. They are as a team. So, I think Harbaugh made the right move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brian Callahan going to the Titans. I just don't think the Titans should have gotten rid of Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, this was the one firing that I just didn't really understand. I mean, I would say the Pete Carroll one as well, kind of. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get that one more. I still didn't really get it, but this was the one I really didn't understand. Because, like, I know they're not good, but I mean, how you really expect them to work with Tannehill anymore? Like, Tannehill's older. He's hurt. Levis, I mean, they drafted him, like, and they weren't expecting to start him, but Levis just didn't do enough. He did all right at times, but he didn't do enough. And, like, the rest of the team, it's okay, but, like, the receiving corps, they should have never got rid of A.J. Brown. Like, it's been said, it's been beat to death. It's been talked about for years. Why do they trade A.J. Brown? Horrible move. And then, like, they bring in Hopkins, like, okay, he's good, but, like, he's not A.J. Brown. And then the rest of the receiving corps just isn't good. I mean, like, it's not good enough. Like, Nick Westbrook's okay, he's fine. Treylon Burks is fine, but they're not, secondary receivers here. And then it's just like, he's not supposed to be able to win with that. No one was expecting the Titans to win a lot of games. They didn't. Tannehill was injured, which didn't help. And I don't think he should have really been fired. I mean, I get it, but I still don't think he should have been fired.
Mm-hmm. I do know a lot of people have been saying that A.J. Brown's just not a good teammate and a cancer in the locker room. So I guess that's been coming out with the Eagles. So
yeah, maybe. I don't usually delve into stuff like that too much because you just don't know. But yeah, you are right about that. But still, I mean, the Titans have not benefited from this. It's not like, oh, we got the guy that's not making our locker room work out. He's off the team and we're going to be better now. Like, they've gotten worse. So it's like, it's hard to say that it's worked to get rid of him. That's the thing. Like, I know winning's not winning. You don't want to say winning is everything because there are other factors that matter, like your culture and how the teammates, like how they coalesce together. It matters. But at the end of the day, winning cures a lot, though. It's not everything, but if you do win, even if the locker room's not that great, it doesn't really matter. Like, people remember Kobe Shaq. Like, it wasn't that great, but, they were winning, so that worked for a while, So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for being here, Clint Moses and Hummus Hero.
Mm-hmm. Josh McDaniels, never understand how this guy keeps getting jobs, but he is gone from the Raiders.
This is an upgrade.
And they brought in Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, this is an upgrade because Josh McDaniels, like, nobody was a fan of Josh McDaniels for the Raiders. Like, nobody. Like, like Mike Vrabel. or Pete Carroll or even Bill Belichick, everybody, there's going to be people out there that defended those guys, say, oh, they should not be fired right now based off this and this. Nobody was saying that about Josh McDaniels. And to your point, Will, I don't understand why he got this job after the Broncos debacle. I'm watching Denver, and I'm like, what in the world is this? This is horrible. This is just garbage. And I'm like, and then he gets the Raiders job, and I'm like, they're not going to win. But Antonio Pierce, after Josh McDaniels got fired, which no arguments, totally get it, makes absolute sense. I mean, he was the interim coach, and they were more competitive. And Aiden O'Connell was playing pretty well, the Purdue quarterback, taken in the 4th round, if I recall. And like that, I mean, if they can make Aiden O'Connell their starting guy, that's great for them. I don't know if he will end up being their starting guy or not, or if they'll go with get somebody else, but who knows? But I think it's obviously an upgrade. I don't know how good it's going to be because, I mean, to me, like, he has a lot of energy. Like, he seemingly, has gotten that locker room together. Like, they're improving, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, they threw a party in the locker room when they learned that McDaniels got fired, which was pretty funny. Seeing maybe it was the guys just celebrating, he's gone, he's gone.
I mean, it's sad. It's sad when like the team is that vocal about somebody getting fired. Like, it's that obvious that nobody, even the players, the people in the administration, even though they're the ones that hired him, so they should feel bad that they made the decision to hire him. And like the fans, everybody's just like, yay, he's gone. It's like, it's kind of sad though. It's funny, but it's also kind of sad. It's like, he's so bad. Everybody despises him that much. You're just that excited he's gone. That's tough. But I mean, I get it though. And no one would argue it.
Bill Belichick, the reign of terror is over. Bill Belichick, he's gone.
I will
Jerry
say one
Mayo
thing though
coming in.
about this decision with Bill Belichick to get rid of him. I don't know why they said that they were parting ways with him. Like it was announced like 2 weeks or a month before the season was over, something like that. Oh, we're parting ways with him. And then it looked like for a second that is he going to stay? They're having this meeting, and then they ended up parting ways with him anyway. So I'm like, what was that whole ordeal? That didn't make any sense. Like, it looked like he was gone. Like, I was even saying it in my videos, like, Belichick, this is his final game. It's over. And then it was like, no, he might come back. They're having a meeting. They might work this out. And then they part ways with him anyway. I was like, I don't get that, but whatever.
Yeah, that was interesting for sure. But, I mean, Jared Mayo, definitely big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely feel like that Belichick wasn't the best GM. So maybe the Patriots can roster build a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, like Mac Jones, people are just ragging on him, saying he's horrible, and he hasn't done well. But again, it's kind of an O-line thing. He didn't really have a great O-line. So, I mean, I don't know who, like, at this point, it doesn't seem like Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones is going to be the guy. It looks like they probably will get a quarterback. Who knows who they end up with? Some people are saying it's Drake May. I don't know. We'll see. But Jared Mayo, like you said, he huge shoes to fill. I mean, like, I wouldn't want his job. That's all I can say. Like, you're following up Belichick, all those Super Bowls. I just hate that Belichick went out this way. It's sad because the thing is, like, Nick Saban, when he, leaving Alabama, like, yeah, they didn't win a title to finish it off, but, and yeah, some people, well, there was cracks showing. They weren't as good anymore. They still were really good, and there wasn't a decline. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was maybe slight, but he went out well. With Belichick, it's like all these people are going to talk about him, and they're going to talk about all those Super Bowls, and they're going to, Brady. But then you're going to have that camp of people and be like, well, it was all Brady. Once he left, he was no good. And the end of his tenure showed what a coach he actually was. And I just don't agree. I mean, people got to remember Brady was a 6th-round pick. He wasn't supposed to be good. was supposed to be a franchise quarterback. I mean, I don't know how much you can say Belichick was the reason, but like he made sure the team always had good defenses, and they found a way to win all those Super Bowls. Like I think it was hand in hand. I don't think you just throw Belichick under the bus and say he was terrible and that and all that. But it sucks that his tenure ended the way it did, because there are a big camp of people that think he wasn't good, and I feel bad in that regard for Belichick. But like I said, I wouldn't want Jerry Mayo's job, because you're filling up, one of the hardest positions ever in any sport. Like Kalen DeBoer replacing Saban's going to be hard, but replacing Belichick is almost impossible. And all I can say is like with Canellis at the Panthers, you got to give Mayo time. You can't give him a year and a half and it's like, oh, we're done. Unless it's just looking that bad. But we'll see. All I know is like the Patriots, their team isn't completely awful, but they got a lot of work to do to fix that roster.
We can talk about the coordinators a bit. If you want any of them.
There's the Commanders.
Commanders getting Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator. Very interesting. Are we going to get an air raid going on in FedEx Field? Or is it going to be more of a hybrid?
I just don't know why they got rid of Bieniemy. Like we talked about it, before we went on. Like, okay, the offense wasn't good. That's all well and good. We understand that the Commanders' offense was not that good, but that O-line wasn't that good. Sam Howell had no time to throw. And Sam Howell, his stats were pretty good early on. So, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just don't understand why they got rid of him. And it seems like Bieniemy ended up making the wrong move, to be honest. Because, like, okay, he leaves the Chiefs, possibly to be getting that head coaching job eventually with the Commanders, and then they just get rid of him. Like, he's no longer the offensive coordinator or the coach. So that's just a bad beat for him. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, I've always said he's a much better coordinator than a coach. So maybe he can make that offense much more dynamic, but we'll have to see. RC says only thoughts where maybe he gets at least one more job. I agree. Appreciate you being here, but I do agree with that. It's possible, but I thought he was going to get the Falcons job, so who knows? But even if he does get another job, it's going to be hard for him to replicate anywhere close in a couple seasons left that he'll have what he did at the Patriots. And still, the way his Patriots tenure ended, a lot of people are still going to talk negatively of him, and that's more what I mean. But you could be right. Maybe he does get another job. I hope for his sake that he does, and maybe he can have some success. Maybe he can get that all-time record, but it's just not looking that great for him right now, but you never know. But again, back to Kingsbury, he's had a lot of success as an offensive coordinator. So you would think this would work. It makes sense that it would, but you still have to make sure the offense has the guys to fit what he's wanting to do. And I don't really see Sam Howell as a guy that works in an offense like his.
Yeah, it does not look like Sam's going to start next year with that hiring of Cliff.
Hamasiro says we will take Eric Bieniemy as OC at Ohio State. Yeah, if Bill O'Brien does leave for the Boston College job, Chip Kelly's getting a lot of smoke. So we'll have to see.
Arthur Smith going to the Steelers, man. I don't understand with that.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I mean, the way his tenure ended with the Falcons, it wasn't going that well. Again, it's different as a coordinator. But Matt Canada's offense was so bad for the Pittsburgh Steelers that you would think this is automatically an upgrade. So, I mean, in that regard, it's as good for Arthur Smith. Like, can you do worse?
Steelers fans still weren't happy with it.
But. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people aren't. But I feel like, like you can't do worse than what you just had. So if any upgrade is better, I know you would, like someone that's like a better name, like a Cliff Kingsbury, but it just didn't happen. So, Arthur Smith, they got him, they chose him. Hopefully it works out, but it mixed on that one. But I just believe it being an upgrade over Canada should be anyway is enough to make it not a bad, horrible move, even though some people would say it is.
Joe Barry's gone and Jeff Hafley's coming.
Hafley, I'm telling you, he got out when he could. He got out when he could. And so many Boston College, because I wrote this on Twitter, and some people were like, no, what he did at Boston College was unbelievable. He took us to bowl games. And I'm like, yeah, you were 6-6. Okay, and you played Holy Cross and Army and a bunch of bad teams, and you barely made it. Like, Jeff Hafley's probably like, there's no way I ever get there again. So, I mean, he did good. Like, he's not leaving Boston College if he felt safe. Like, he knew he had that thing rolling. Like, he took a coordinator job. He didn't take a head coaching job, which obviously probably wouldn't get a head coaching job. But I think Hafley made the right move. I don't think Hafley's horrible. I never really said that when I was talking about how bad Boston College was. It's not really about Hafley. It's just, yeah, it is tough to win at Boston College. But at a place like that, if you do make a bowl game or you make several bowl games, the fan base is going to want you to continue to do that. And it's tough to do that. So, in a couple years, Hafley probably would have been fired. Most people disagree with me on that with Boston College. Hummus Hero's point, exactly. It's a stepping stone job or a dead end. If you stay there too long, you're going to get fired. It's the way it is with some jobs. And Boston College is just one of those places, more than likely. So I think Hafley got out while he could. I hate it for Boston College fans, and I know they disagree, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It was so funny, man. A couple of days earlier, like there's a podcast with him on it. He's like, "Man, I love Boston College, man. We're gonna get to 10 wins." He said that was their
Yeah,
goal.
I know. It's like he said that knowing he wasn't coming back. So he was saying, right, like, I got all these expectations. We're gonna win this, and then he gone. So that's funny. That is really funny to me. You're absolutely right about that, Will. He knew it. He knew he was leaving. Because, why would you say those things otherwise? Like, he knew it. Steven says Hafley was the elitist defensive coordinator with the Buckeyes. So, yeah, I think most people were fine with this. I didn't really see anybody say anything negative about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kellen Moore with the Eagles will be interesting.
Yeah. Kellen Moore, he's been moving around. He was at the Cowboys and the Chargers. Interesting. It's very interesting with the Eagles how you got a guy that has been moving around a lot recently. So, definitely something happened with the Eagles. Like, there's a lot of speculation, theories are going around. I think Hurts was banged up somewhat toward the end of the season, but something happened. How'd you go from 8-0 to 11-6? They just fell apart. And then they lost to the Bucs in the wild card, and they didn't just lose. They got blown out. So Kellen Moore's got to do better than the second half of the season for the Eagles. That was ugly. Mm-hmm. And they have too much talent on offense to be that poor, especially when they look as good as they did in the beginning of the season. And I love when people say, oh, they were frauds, they were no good. And I'm like, you weren't saying that when they were 8-0.
Well, they're like, the way they won was fraudulent because they're all close wins.
Well, sure, but still, if you're winning, you're winning. I thought that the Eagles weren't as good as people were saying that they were the previous season when they made the Super Bowl and all that. And I know the holding call, like the Eagles were the holding call away from possibly winning. Like, I got it. But I just never thought they were all that. You can win a Super Bowl and not be an elite team to me. And I didn't think they were elite. But after they did that, people were on the Eagles train. But yeah, there was a few saying that they weren't because, to your point, close wins. But a lot of people just thought they were that good. And then they just fell apart. And then those same people were like, the Eagles are terrible. I'm like, I don't know. You're kind of a little bit of a flip-flop there, but that's okay. I get it. It's easy to just say, oh, they're so good when they're 8-0 and then they're so bad when they're 11-6 and they lose to the Bucs in the wild card. But it's crazy that they fell apart that poorly. Like it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Ken Dorsey going to the Browns will be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the former Bills guy.
He was the quarterback on Miami when they won their last national championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. So, the Browns, I don't know what to make of the Browns this past season. Like, you had all the quarterbacks, man, like Deshaun Watson and P.J. Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then Joe Flacco. And I'm like, don't get rid of Flacco, but there's no way he could start. Being the bench guy's all right. He was fine, but I don't know. Yeah, to Hummus Hero's point, kind of like going off what I was just saying, the truth is generally somewhere in between. Absolutely. Like everybody that's on like one side, like this is true, and the other side, yeah, you're right. It's usually in the middle. I agree with you on that, Hummus Hero, for sure. But yeah, it's what makes discussion interesting. But with the Browns, though, I mean, Ken Dorsey's got some work to do there. I mean, they're not bad. The team's got some talent, but I just think they need stability, especially at QB. They just need stability. You can't have these rotation at quarterback week in and week out and expect it to really work. I'm happy for the Browns. They made the playoffs, but man, I shouldn't have picked them against the Texans. That was a bad move.
Do you think that Michael Penix would do well with the Browns?
I have seen a lot of people pick different teams for Penix, like several different options, but I have seen the Browns as one floated around a little bit. It could work. I mean, I think Penix can kind of work anywhere. I mean, like you talk about, Cliff Kingsbury at the Commanders. Like I know they've got a high pick, but Penix could work there because he's a deep, passer. Goes downfield with it. So, I mean, he can work in a lot of offenses. He just needs an O-line. Got to give him an O-line. If he goes to a team with a bad O-line, he's not going to work. We know that. At Indiana, he got hurt all the time. At Washington, he was protected, and he was able to make it. So, and that's like, to me, the only reason he's not being projected higher than he is. Because I asked in a poll recently, too, I said, with Penix, you think he'll be a first-round pick? And it was like 50-50 yes and no. So some people are on the fence with him, and it's just because of the injuries.
Joe Brady getting the permanent job with the Bills. All right, Super Bowl preview.
I will say, I don't know if I can make a pick yet on it. I don't know if I can, man. I got to think about this a little bit. I'm sure you're going to make your pick. But real quick before we talk about the Super Bowl, man, did you watch any of the Pro Bowl? Any second of it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, there you go. I didn't watch any of it either. All I did was retweet a tweet of someone saying this was the best hit in Pro Bowl history back in 2007.
Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor's hit.
God rest his soul. May God rest his soul.
Yep. Rest in peace, man. He that guy, man. He was that was a big hit.
I want my first Redskins game was right after he died, and there's a moment of silence.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
Very emotional.
It stinks with stuff like that, but he that hit was just unbelievable, and I did that just to give the Pro Bowl a little bit of love, man. But I mean, just no longer in Hawaii. I mean, I miss those. I know that like people said that the Pro Bowl was never good, but back when Sean Taylor was hitting like that, it mattered. People cared about it. It doesn't matter. The
Senior Bowl's pretty good. Although Sam Hartman did not. Although Hartman looked pretty bad.
Yeah, the Senior Bowl. There was a lot of people struggled. They said I didn't even see much of that either. But yeah, Steven says Taylor Swift over San Fran 31-27. Oh boy, yeah. I mean, I've thought about this game a decent amount already because I am trying to figure this out who I'm gonna pick. Because, I mean, you see the predictor, the FBI, 59% 49er, 40% Chiefs. And I think the 49ers are favored by like 2.
2.5.
2.5. It was 1.5, but now 2.5. I think part of that is because an important guy for the Chiefs on defense is out. He tore his ACL. I forgot his name, but that guy is out. So that is going to hurt their defense a little bit. The thing is that Brock Purdy, he's got to play well for the 49ers to win. No turnovers. You just go out there and play like Brock Purdy has shown us he can play. Go out there, throw for 275, 2 or 3 touchdowns, no picks. Just distribute the ball to your stars, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. 49ers have a good defense. George Kittle, too. You can't forget about George Kittle. Like, their offense is talented. The defense is really good. The 49ers just have to play mistake-free football. They can win. I believe they're the better team. And I think most people agree with that. I mean, some people would say that's not true. But I think overall, the whole entire team with both of these teams, the 49ers are better. I just believe it. I think the Ravens were better than the Chiefs. The Ravens were the better team. They just didn't win because they turned it over and over, kept making mistakes. That's why they didn't win. That's why the better team doesn't always win. But it is what it is with that. But the Chiefs, I mean, we know the Taylor Swift. It's almost like Taylor Swift, like she's talked about more than the team is anymore. Like, and I know that's not even like an overstatement, but still, it's true. Like, whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, I don't have personally an issue with it. It's just like some people just getting sick of it, and like you can't help it with the cameras, but like some people are just getting sick of it. I did recently in a poll. Do you think Taylor Swift has been good, for the NFL, basically? And a lot more people, not tons, but more people did vote no than yes on it. And I mean, like that's the thing. Here it is right here. I'll pull it up real quick. But I mean, it's just mixed. Yeah, right there. Do you think Taylor Swift makes the NFL better? 39% yes, 60% no. I mean, so more people are not, feeling it with Taylor Swift. And I get a lot of Chiefs fans have adopted her now because to me, this is the thing. I don't understand this, Will. So many Chiefs fans are saying, we're in the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift. And I'm like, no. You have won 2 Super Bowls with Mahomes with Taylor Swift not even in the picture. How does she matter for the Chiefs being there? No. She's not their good luck charm. It's not like they haven't been to the Super Bowl ever in their history, and suddenly she's involved with the team with Kelsey, and now they've made it. No, you won 2 with Mahomes and Andy Reid. She's not the good luck charm here. You want to believe that just for hilariousness, I'm cool with that. But if you actually believe that, I don't know. I don't see how you do. But that's just my biggest takeaway on that part. But I just think the 49ers are the better team. As long as they don't make mistakes, they should, have a great shot to win. But mistakes can happen. And if you, let that get to you, Brock Purdy makes a mistake, throws a pick, there's a fumble somewhere. Chiefs can win. They're good enough too. But the 49ers are the better team.
All right. Now, gosh darn it. So when did Taylor come in the picture? Do you remember what her first game was? Or
man, that's a great question. It just seems like she was there the whole time. I can't remember when it was her first game.
All right, I want to do a little research for a second.
Yeah, we got to get this right. We gotta factually make sure like how many games like was she involved with the team. But yeah. I know it's been a lot of the season, though. I will say that.
When? All right. Which Taylor Swift?
Hummus Hero says, I'm all for them showing Taylor. That's hilarious. Then he says, don't cancel me for that No, you're good, Hummus. That's funny. I mean,
she went to the Bears game.
Yeah.
First.
Almost also said Penix is the highest potential of any QB in the draft, but I think Jaden Daniels is the most surefire to be a solid player for a good while. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, as long as he doesn't get hurt running the football, yeah, he could be good.
All right, so she's been there most of the season.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they started playing better when she came in.
But see, that's the thing. They use that narrative. And what's so funny about it is, Will, is how narratives shift. Because I remember after the Raiders lost, when it was on one of the holidays, when it Thanksgiving, or was it Christmas? Christmas. It was Christmas. So on Christmas Day, because I picked the Chiefs. Like, I'm not picking the Raiders at Arrowhead, but no, the Raiders won. And then I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying, Swift, she's bad luck for the Chiefs. They can't win with her. I'm like, okay, like, fine. But, they were struggling before. But, people use that narrative. But then once they started winning after that game, and now that they made it all the way through the playoffs, now it's like Swift's the good luck charm. I'm like, why is it always about Swift here? We're talking about a football team. And this football team has been up and down this season. I mean, I don't really think she has anything to do with their play. I know, again, it's a lot of people just joke about it, and I don't mind the jokes. I think it's funny, but she does not impact the team on the field. She just doesn't. Like, she's in the booth. So, like, she's not even out there with the other fans cheering with everybody. Like, she's in the booth. So it's like she's not even helping out as the 12th man out there with the fans. So I don't know. Just to me, I just think that's the hilarity of it. But I mean, the Chiefs were struggling, and yeah, they've gotten it together. The receiving core has been the rapid improvement. We know how bad they were early on. Kadarius Toney, all those drops. I mean, it was ugly. Scantling wasn't doing that well, but then Scantling pulled through in the playoff game with that great catch. Rashee Rice, his development. He's done great. People talk about Puka Nacua, and with good reason, because he was by far the best rookie receiver, but Rashee Rice came on late. He was doing really well. But still, the Chiefs, just to me, on both sides of the ball, Mahomes is the only advantage to me. Like, Mahomes is better than Brock Purdy. We got it. That's not even debatable. Kelsey, Kittle, I mean, they're both really good. But then after that, the 49ers have a lot of the advantage.
I mean, I felt like this the first Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Niners. And then the Chiefs won.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's because Mahomes. Mahomes is the difference maker here. Like, if you switch teams with the QBs, like if Mahomes is on the Niners and Brock Purdy was with the Chiefs, I mean, just hypothetically, I don't think anybody would be picking the Chiefs. I mean, and if anybody was, you're a fan, or you just pick an upset. Some people pick upset. That's cool. But, like, the reason why people are so split on this game, and there hasn't been too many official predictions yet because the game's still, almost a week away. But they're so split because I think a lot of people agree with what I'm saying, that the Niners are better, but the Mahomes factor. He's 1-2. And sometimes I think a lot of people are just, he's Brady right now. He's the new Brady, where even if you don't think he's going to win, he's going to win. So that's what makes it tough. And I've even seen some people talk about, well, the holding call, they shouldn't have won that game. Did you see the Ravens game, man? Some of the bad call, there were a couple, and people were like, they're gonna win because of that. It's crazy. Well, I don't know what you think about that though.
I just feel like Mahomes is gonna win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, like, it doesn't matter, like, all that smoke and noise. It was Swift. People talk about the rest. It doesn't matter. Like, Mahomes, he's that X factor. He brings it in these games, and that's the thing. That's to me the one thing holding me back from just picking the Niners, because I do most of the time go with the better team. I just do most of the time. Like, I believe the Chiefs were better than the Eagles last year. I did, even though the Eagles were favored. I believe the Chiefs were better, but this year I believe the Niners are the better team. But Mahomes, just he is that X factor. He has.
I'm going to go 31-27 Chiefs.
Yeah, literally same score as Steven. Taylor Swift over Sanford.
Oh my gosh!
So Will is spot on with Steven right now.
Gosh darn it! I should have double checked that.
No, you're good, man. It's a good score. Like, that feasibly is a lot. It's not, I wouldn't say likely any score outcome is possible, but it makes sense.
But yeah, Patrick Mahomes' dad, Pat Mahomes Sr., he did get a DUI, so I think he's gonna.
I don't even know what to think about this comment from Steven.
He's had multiple already.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's a tough deal when it happens multiple times. I mean, you just hope that it will eventually not happen anymore with a person. It's tough. But that's funny though. But yeah, it stinks with Mahomes' dad. Hopefully he'll be all right. But I mean, you could be right, Will. I mean, I don't think I can make a score right now. I want to do it, but I got to do more, research, see the injuries, and I'll have my prediction for this game later this week, probably Thursday or Friday. But I think it's going to be a close game. Like, I'm with you. 31-27. Like, I could right now say San Fran 31-27 or Chiefs 31-27, and it feels right. It feels like a good score, 34-27, something like that. But I think it's going to be a close game, whoever wins. It's going to go down the wire. I mean, you never know. Blowouts can happen, but I think it's going to be close. But like I said, to me, the most important player for the Niners for them to win is Brock Purdy. He can't make mistakes. It's a big moment. Like we saw, he's made some bad throws in this playoff. He's been off. Like some of his throws, like they haven't been picked in some of these games, but he's had some bad throws. He can't play poorly in this game if the Niners are going to win. And I feel like the pressure for him is high too, because a lot of people don't think he's good. So many people he's like, they say he's a system QB. He's not elite.
I mean, is he really better than Mac Jones?
I mean, it's hard to say because what would Mac Jones look like with the Niners?
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like
it's tough.
Similar.
But I mean, people said Mahomes was terrible. Because remember after when Tyreek Hill, like Mahomes, it was because of Tyreek Hill. He's not going to do anything anymore. And then remember when Kelsey missed a couple games, like, look at Mahomes' stats. He's terrible. People don't understand that when you're a quarterback, you still got to have good players to throw the ball to, right? Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I get it though. I mean, Brock Purdy, I think he's a little bit better than a system QB. He can say he is because the offense the team that he's on is that good, but I would say he's a little better than Mac Jones. But again, to be fair to the argument, if Mac Jones was with the Niners, he'd be a lot better. Steven says, good show, fellas. See you next time. Appreciate you for stopping by. Steven had some great comments. Appreciate him. But definitely, it's gonna be crazy with this Super Bowl. It's gonna be crazy. I can't wait for it. I'm serious. I predict Kanye shows up in the stand. So oh man, it's crazy. That's funny, man. It crushes the Chiefs mojo. San Fran 45-12 with help from Kanye. I don't know if that's your actual score prediction, if you're just joking. I don't know.
But Kanye's son was on the World Cup. They were like showing where the World Cup games are going to be played, and they showed Kim and the son. And the son looked just like Kanye and acted like him too. It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Kanye Jr.
Man, that's crazy. But I mean, I will say, I guess, like before we wrap up, unless you want anything else to talk about, but like, do you think just Mahomes is the X factor? Like, yes. Do you think there's other important keys? Like, there's nothing else.
Also, the Chiefs' defense is much better this year too, so I think they'll be able to get more stops than they would have last year.
Do you think the Chiefs' defense is on par with the Niners?
Results-wise, yes. Talent-wise, no.
See, that's where I'm with you, man. I agree. Because I'm like, the Niners are a better defense. So people are like, no, the Chiefs are just good. I'm like, no, the Niners are a better defense. But to your point, I had a feeling you're going to say that because the Chiefs, you're right. They actually outperformed. And that's really, in a way, kind of why they're here too. Because they have had so many struggles throughout the season on offense. And like their defense came through. It's kind of like Alabama. Ironically, how with Bryce Young, the defense wasn't as good on those teams. But then this season with Milroe, the defense was better. So it's like that's why Bama was able to win. Because like if the defense was as bad as it was with Bryce Young, they would have lost more games. So it's kind of ironic that the Chiefs are worse on offense this season overall because of the struggles that they've had. But then the defense got better to keep them good. It's crazy how that works. Clint Moe says... That's funny. But, yeah.
Two Notre Dame legends were on that team. Ricky Watters and Brian Young. Two Irish legends were on that 49ers team.
Yeah, it's always crazy to go back in the annals of history in the NFL. NBA is crazy, though. But, yeah, I mean, it's like with the Cowboys, man. It's like they just want it to be 1995 all over again. It's still not happening. You know, same thing there. So it's crazy. But, yeah, like I said, I can't wait.
1991.
Yeah. Yeah, man, 100%. Panthers wish it was 2015 still, right? But, yeah, I'm looking forward to Super Bowl 58, man. Will's going with the Chiefs. He believes Mahomes and that defense will be enough to knock off Brock Purdy. I'm going to have my prediction later this week, but I'm going to look very forward to this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure, again, that the majority of the country is hoping for a 49ers win.
Well, a lot of teams don't want the 49ers to pass the Patriots and Cowboys in Super Bowls. Or is it?
Well,
No, yeah. There is some of that. They don't want them to win another one, but
yeah, that's true. But I just think that still a lot of people do not want, the Chiefs to win because they don't want like them to start building a dynasty like with Brady, because that's the whole thing. And then with the Swift thing, some people are just put
89
off.
was a 49ers won in 89 because they won in 88, 89. They're going for the three-peat in 1990, but the Giants upset them. I remember looking at
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Will's got that history right there going through. I mean, it's again always fun to go back through that. I mean, because that's what matters, when you talk about like the present games is like what happened in the past. So like with the Lions, like they hadn't won a playoff game since '92, and then like all that losing, and then they finally did. Like I was pulling for them. I'm not even
That
Lions
was the
fan.
last. That was the last before this year. That was the last time the Redskins and the Lions were in the NFC Championship game. Was that season?
Wow, that's crazy. Well, hopefully the Panthers do not go on a drought like the Lions, man, where they don't make the playoffs for that long. That would be horrible because they haven't been since 2017, the Panthers, and like the Broncos haven't been since Manning in 2015. So I mean that's crazy, like building up that big of a streak.
Yeah. Well,
That's funny. These jokes are great.
mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, we're definitely both excited for the Super Bowl. We're excited to see Usher's halftime show. That's going to be fun. Usher has so many classics.
Yep, for sure. Especially like late 2000s, I think, right? Yeah, that's when he had most of his hits. Yeah.
He has a new song with 2 Chainz. That's good too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That should be cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back for a little recap right after the Super Bowl if Jeffrey can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now Hummus is changing his pick.
Now I'm changing my pick. 970 Taylor -34. Oh man. Yeah, like I don't see how you can score in the negative, but I mean maybe there'll be an exception. But that's funny, Hummus Hero. That's funny. But yeah, I'm with you, Will. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We should be able to do a recap. We'll have to see, fit some time in. That should be fun as well. I just hope it's a competitive game regardless. A lot of fun, and people like are okay with the winner. They deserve to win. All that kind of stuff. There's always controversy, but which I guess is interesting. But we'll see. It's gonna be fun though. But thanks everybody for being here. Like the streams down below. Subscribe to the channels if you are new. Share the stream out on social media. But most importantly, thanks for being here, everybody. It's fun previewing the Super Bowl and talking about the coaching news as well. There's been so much of that crazy going on there, but that's going to start slowing down. Basically, only like the Boston College search is really the only thing going on in college football. But we'll probably talk about that next week. Especially if it's with, Bill O'Brien. We'll have to see. Hummus here says, thanks, Jeffrey. And we'll appreciate that. Appreciate everybody for being here. But we'll definitely see you guys soon. Thanks for being here, everybody.